I think that this is just a lot of angry men who are threatened by women who are in charge of their Star Wars.
Hello there, Hindsight here. For those of you who do not know, the YouTube channel known as Star Wars Explained recently released a video on the 28th of September, I believe, talking about Kathleen Kennedy having her Lucasfilm contract extended by 3 years. Now, I won't give my opinion on that particular thing just yet. This is a response video after all. What I will be doing, however, is going through Star Wars Explained's video and responding accordingly to some of the juicy bits in that video to explain why the like-to-dislike ratio is so negative. I think that's the polite way of saying it. So, let's go on to the video.
What's up, guys? We have got some big news coming out of the Hollywood Reporter today. They're telling us that Kathleen Kennedy has been fired from Lucasfilm. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. This isn't the article. These are the rantings of a lunatic.
Funny.
They are telling us that Kathleen Kennedy's contract to head up Lucasfilm, to be the president of Lucasfilm, has been extended for another 3 years.
Yeah.
Yay. Woohoo.
So, despite wild, rampant rumors that she would be fired by the end of September.
Which I still don't know where those came from.
Sources.
Yeah,
Just those inside sources.
We gotta get us one of those sources.
I know, but apparently they're wrong all the time. I don't know, people were saying she'd be fired by the end of September. It looks like the complete opposite has happened, and she gets to keep her job for 3 more years.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it. I think she's been doing a great job, and
You should probably check your sources again. I believe that they say quite the contrary.
I don't know how to make movies, so
Oh, don't worry, I could tell.
I mean, yeah, 4 movies. One of them was a flop. It didn't do well at all at the box office, and they're still looking at $4.5 billion. I think they're doing okay.
Yes, Disney, a juggernaut, is doing okay in regards to its finances. But if you talk about the quality of their products, I can guarantee you would not be saying that. I mean, you've spoken about that in your own videos, about how faulty The Last Jedi was. Are you just going to pretend that never happened?
yeah. I mean, she's been a producer for some of the biggest movies of all time.
Like our entire childhood.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, I think she's doing a great job. I don't see what she's doing that's ruining Star Wars for people.
The fault isn't with Kathleen Kennedy, it's more about the people she hires to write the films for Star Wars.
It's that people want a scapegoat. That's it. So they've chosen Kathleen and Rian Johnson.
Yeah, but not Bob Iger, I guess, even though he
Just
recently kind of owned up to some things being
Yeah.
his fault.
A good and honourable general takes responsibility when his or her colonels cannot keep their lieutenants in check so that they can execute their missions effectively. Bob Iger is the general in this scenario. Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige, who's the president at Marvel, are 2 of his colonels. The writers they hire are the lieutenants in Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm battalion. Lieutenant for the Last Jedi platoon is 2nd Lieutenant Rian Johnson. Johnson failed to take over Operation Star Wars sequel trilogy because the planning of his mission was faulty, in this case the writing. There were lots of casualties, including Sergeant Major Mark Hamill, but the mission ended up with the local population, in this case the fans, protesting. Perhaps 2nd Lieutenant Rian Johnson should have listened to 1st Lieutenant J.J. Abrams' mission briefing for the first phase of the operation. Maybe it would have gone better for him.
It's funny, like, honestly, in normal circumstances, like before The Last Jedi, I would say, I thought that Kathleen Kennedy was doing a good job, but I also, like, if anyone wanted to mix up leadership, I've never really cared who is in charge. Like, I don't really care if Kevin Feige is in charge at Marvel.
I promise you, that was a coincidence. I actually didn't know he was going to say that.
I don't really pay attention to that stuff. It's like, if I like the movie, I like the movie, and that's it. So normally I wouldn't care about this sort of thing, but I don't know, so many people have decided to die on this hill and be so angry about it that I'm like, it's kind of entrenched me a little bit to be like, yeah, I'm glad that she's staying.
Yeah.
Most of the criticisms for the way Star Wars has been handled has been because of the failure of The Last Jedi in regards to its writing, not financially. The writer for that was Rian Johnson, who was hired by Kathleen Kennedy. and Kathleen Kennedy seems to lack a lot of passion that other presidents like Kevin Feige has been able to distribute with their products. And the MCU is booming right now, despite some of their films being rather lackluster, but you can see that he actually gives a fuck about his products. I have yet to see that with Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm. Bob Iger runs Disney, which owns both Marvel and Lucasfilm. If Kevin Feige can keep the fans on his side, then why can't Kathleen Kennedy?
So, why do you think people are so against Kathleen Kennedy as a person?
Well, I mean, obviously The Last Jedi did create some division. It didn't sit well with some people. I think that's when things really started to fall apart. And the thing I always see brought up is that she attacks the fans, which blows my mind that people say that. Like,
it should blow your mind because she doesn't actually do that, I agree. What she does, however, do is enable her underlings to do it. So Rian Johnson.
These people be like, she attacked us and she hates men. And like, I'll ask people. Is that
because of the Force's female
that's part
Nike?
Of it.
That was the Nike slogan, by the way.
Yeah, it's a Nike shirt. That's part of it. But there's also, every time someone asks, like, can you give me the source for that quote? It's her saying that she doesn't feel the need to cater to angry men who are demanding this, that, and the other. And people are twisting that into, like, she hates all men.
First of all, there's no actual concrete proof that says Kathleen Kennedy doesn't want to cater to angry men. A lot of sources are saying that, but it is incorrect as far as I can tell. So fair enough, I agree with you on that one. But in regards to the Force's female, I can understand why people will be having a bit of a backlash towards that, because if someone said the Force's male, I guarantee you people will be up in arms against that statement. Sure, it was Nike or however you pronounce it that did it, but Kathleen Kennedy, the leader of Lucasfilm, is the one wearing the shirt. Why insert gender into Star Wars? Is this unnecessary?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what universe do you live in? That's her attacking you.
The sad thing is that I think that this is just a lot of angry men who are threatened by women who are in charge of their Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oof. Now, this is the problem that everyone seems to have with Star Wars, I guess you could say. What you just said is basically what's been going on. Rian Johnson has been calling people man babies, and you've just said that it's just angry men. You're using the fact that they're males as the reason why they don't like the film. It's rather dismissive, don't you think? You're denying that they might have actual valid criticisms. They might actually have valid reasons for why they might not like the film, but you're just relegating it down to their gender. Which is also you assuming that there are no females who dislike the way the Star Wars franchise has been handled at the moment. You are assuming things based on nothing more than gender. And then you wonder why people feel like you've attacked them. Look, humans aren't a hive mind. Because you're male and because you're female, it doesn't mean that you have to think a certain way, that you have to have certain opinions. There are females who like Star Wars. I know quite a few of them. I know of many. One of my favourite Star Wars YouTubers, Thor Skywalker, had a segment on one of his videos where his fiance voiced her opinion on the topic at hand, in detail. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. This arbitrary notion that certain demographics have to think and do things in a certain way is just absurd. Star Wars Explained has different opinions to that of Thor Skywalker in regards to this matter, and their fiancés/partners have different opposing opinions as well. Once you listen to the video, you get my point. Both the same demographic, but different opinions. Interesting. Who would have thought that individual humans would be able to think individually?
I mean, I do think that there is a bit of a push to make Star Wars more inclusive, and I think that's a good thing. I think that they can be doing more to make it more inclusive, and people who are against that, I don't know. It's just like, Star Wars should be for everyone.
Star Wars is for everyone. It is probably one of the most inclusive franchises out there right now. Do you think there's a sign outside the theatres that says no blacks allowed, no whites allowed, no women allowed, no gays allowed? No! It is inclusive already.
I don't know why that's hard for people to digest.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's for kids.
Yeah.
Secondly, you're right. It should be all inclusive and diverse.
Yes.
So is it for kids or is it meant for everyone? Make up your minds. You're contradicting each other right now. And it's almost as if Star Wars Explained is kind of editing himself just because his girl's there. Correct me if I'm wrong, mate. And what do you mean about diverse? Because it sounds like you're basing the diversity based on random demographics. Any intelligent individual would understand that diversity means a range of different things. Now, last time I checked, everyone was different. Star Wars, like everything else, is diverse already. Every individual involved is different from each other. You can't relegate things down to bloody arbitrary things like race or gender and then call it diversity. John Boyega isn't a diverse member of the cast because of his ethnic background or his skin colour or whatever you want to call it. He's different from every other actor in the planet because he's a different individual to everyone on the planet. The character of Finn and the character of Poe Dameron are different, not because of their skin colour, and they're not the same because they're males. They are both different because they are individuals with their own individual mindsets, motives, personality traits.
Taking a stand. One other thing that I wanted to point out on that article is that it says, quote, after the box office disappointment of Solo: A Star Wars Story, the studio plans to expand the universe with new characters introduced in movies and television shows. The near future of Star Wars lies in television, which I guess that kind of feels like a no-brainer, especially since we don't know what movies are coming after Episode 9, and we do know that the Clone Wars and Resistance and Jon Favreau's show are all coming, but the idea that they are planning to expand the universe with new characters, what do you feel about that?
I can tell this is going to be an interesting one.
I think it's great. I mean, look at how successful Netflix is with their own shows. I mean, they're winning all kinds of awards. They're fantastic. And I think Disney is realizing that, and they're coming out with their streaming service. They're switching over to concentrate more on, like you said, television, and I think that's a great thing.
Obviously, I agree with this. I mean, who doesn't want them to do new things? I just hope they don't fuck it up like they did The Last Jedi.
Yeah, and I'm happy because I've been saying that, I mean, so I don't really, love The Last Jedi. I'm not angry about it, but I do think that there were some things in it where I was like, I don't think I'd be even remotely upset about this if it weren't for the fact that we're dealing with legacy characters. And I think that that's kind of part of the reason some people are so angry about it and hateful, is that they have come to know and love these characters and they want them to be treated a certain way. So I think that it is good that we expand the universe, get away from the Skywalkers a little more, and give us new characters to fall in love with that aren't necessarily related to the Skywalker saga. I'll be super sad to see it end, but I'm also ready for it.
Now, what I found interesting that Minister of Star Wars Explained talking was that he made some valid points on The Last Jedi. He said he didn't love The Last Jedi, which he has stated in the past. But then he said that these points are why some people are angry, and that's the key problem here. He's assuming that it's just an angry backlash and nothing else, not bad writing. Maybe he was going to explore that, but he almost immediately diverted away from the points he was about to develop, it seemed. He just jumped straight to saying that he believes that it'd be smart to divert away from the Skywalker saga, and whilst I agree that it would be smart to do that, you have to wonder why he isn't developing on what he was saying about The Last Jedi and why he didn't love it.
I really liked The Last Jedi. I don't feel too heavily either way about it, but I will say that it's the only Star Wars movie that has made me feel the most emotion.
The most emotion. The Phantom Menace.
I love
Attack of the Clones. The Revenge of the Sith.
I hate you! You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
A New Hope.
No!
The Empire Strikes Back.
No! No!
The Return of the Jedi.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Force Awakens.
Thank you.
None of those films gave you more emotional ups and downs than this. Yeah, okay, you're allowed to have your own subjective opinion in regards to...
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like, the ups and downs is crazy in that movie, and it's very emotional, and every time I watch it, it's like, it sucks me in.
I mean,
I don't even think she's seen the other movies, and she has.
the way I describe The Last Jedi is, for me, it's a movie of high highs and low lows. It has some of my favorite Star Wars stuff ever in it, and it has some of my least favorite stuff in Star Wars in it, but that's true of every movie.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have your own subjective opinion in it, but the majority of people's criticisms aren't based on subjectivity. It's based on the objective flaws of it.
I mean, there's just so much that you can do. And I mean, we should point out that the whole handling of Lucasfilm, I don't think it's been completely smooth sailing. I mean, look at Rogue One, look at Solo. But the fact that Solo and Rogue One went through what they went through, and they still came out as very well-liked movies, is astonishing. And it shows to me that they are willing and committed to pumping out good movies.
As I said before, you're allowed to like things subjectively. Even if they're objectively bad, I liked Rogue One and Solo. And unlike The Last Jedi, they both had good writing. And to be honest, I'm questioning what your standard for good is in regards to films. I'll let you explain.
And if it's not working, if they don't think that it's gonna be what we want to see, they're gonna redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, they can't do that over and over and over.
Right.
So I hope that they have learned some lessons, but...
I think that's what they mean when they say they're going to slow down. I think they're going to take a lot more time to figure out exactly what they want to do and how it's going to work, and make sure that they don't have to make the movie twice.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an important thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Don't know what I was expecting him to actually explain something in this video.
But I've always been, I guess, comforted by the idea that they're like, this isn't working. We're willing to sink a lot more money into it to make sure that it does.
Because it's Star Wars, you kind of have to.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
If money was the most important thing in regards to the creation process of a film, trust me, The Last Jedi would be the best film ever made. Solo would not have failed. Money isn't everything. Good writing, good direction, those things are what makes a good film.
Anything else you have to say on all this?
I'm just, like, people asked me a couple of times, like, why are you happy about this news? And I was like, I don't really know how to answer that, but I mean, I'm happy that she's going to continue to work on the Star Wars movies, and I am also happy that, you know, she didn't step down. A lot of people were like, either she's going to be fired or she's definitely going to step down. She shouldn't step down from anything that's like giving in to bullies, basically.
Right.
Yes, I agree. She shouldn't have to step down because people are telling her to. I wouldn't call them bullies. They're not physically harming her in any way. And I can understand where some of these aggressive critics, we can call them, stand. Maybe they just want somebody who's a bit more passionate about the product to make a good product for them to actually spend money on. Maybe they want to see someone like Dave Filoni at the head, someone who actually knows the Star Wars franchise, someone who's actually worked on the Star Wars product as a creative person. No offense to Kathleen Kennedy, she hasn't got the credentials like that. Dave Filoni does, and he's also worked directly underneath George Lucas. They are bringing back Star Wars The Clone Wars, a product that was creatively headed by Dave Filoni, and he was one of the executive producers for Star Wars Rebels soon after. This is not because of his dick, it's because he's good at his job.
Yeah, I mean, eventually she's going to resign, but yeah, it's like I don't want her to.
Like, I don't want her to resign.
Not resign, I should say retire. That's what I mean.
Yeah, resign or step down, retire, whatever you want to call it. I don't want her to have to do that because of the backlash that she gets from these angry people on the internet.
Yeah. I'm very glad that she's like 3 more years, sign me up.
Yeah.
good for you.
She's a hard-working lady.
Yeah.
You can work hard and still be shit at your job.
You retire when you want to, and you deserve to relax and just have a treat yourself day.
Yeah.
Ah, the cringe. Oh.
But I think that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy about it because, like you said, it's not giving in to bullies and just anger and hate, and it's sticking with it. And I admire the hell out of
I
it.
feel like there's a quote there somewhere. Where does that lead to?
I don't know. Let's go watch Last Jedi again.
Yeah.
I wish I could go and watch a film that is just objectively terrible and still like it so much.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Honestly, I'm probably not going to read the comments on this one. I'm going to just throw that out there. This video is just going to go up and we're going to walk away.
A little arrogant and self-righteous of you. God.
But feel free to give us your thoughts. I'm sure some of you will. And if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for more of our in-depth thoughts.
As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
Now, I do not want her removed because she ruined Star Wars, or because she's a woman. I don't believe it possible at this moment in time to have her removed because there is no one else who's available to take the job. She's now had her contract extended, so I actually hope she does well. I hope that the new Star Wars films go well. As I said before, if someone with more passion for the franchise, someone who actually knows the franchise, someone who had an actual producer role under Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, in other words, perhaps you wouldn't be having such a problem. Look, I don't care if Kathleen Kennedy is some militant SJW feminist or not. What I care about is receiving a good product for my buck. If I don't, I'm going to voice my opinion. Don't get me wrong now. The people sending death threats, the actual woman haters, the actual racists, the actual idiots, bigots. I understand why Star Wars Explained and others have their opinion of these people. But Kathleen Kennedy hired Rian Johnson, someone who has stopped being professional, to insult fans based on a demographic, all because certain individuals disliked his films and voiced their opinions about it on a social media platform. Instead of being mature, he insults them, dismisses any females who had the same opinion, and dismissed any valid criticisms for the film that he wrote. As the president of a company, Kathleen Kennedy seems to be fine with this. Fine of her employees insulting her fans. Fine of her employees acting like this. So I understand why people want her replaced. And whilst I don't want her fired for this, if Dave Filoni or someone similar applied for the job, I'd change my words pretty quickly, because there would be someone who could handle Lucasfilm properly and more efficiently. But in regards to Star Wars Explained, I'm a little disappointed with the quality of this video. Sure, he's a good source of information Star Wars related, but his opinions in regards to the fans, the objectivity and subjectivity of The Last Jedi and the Star Wars franchise as a whole, it has put me off. His partner, she's something else. And I feel like if she wasn't directly involved in this video, he maybe would have voiced his opinion instead of voicing their opinion. Well, I hope you gathered something from this video. I hope that rational minds will prevail, and I hope that Star Wars Explained starts to think a little more rationally in the future. Hell, I hope he sees this video. I doubt it very highly, but hey, I could be ambitious. I do hope he acts a bit more rational in the future, much like Thor Skywalker. An individual like myself that deserves a subscription, in my opinion. If you want to contact me, hit me up on my social media, and I'll catch you in my next video. May the Force be with you. Always.